Thank you. I didn't.
When I was staring at Sarah.
Just sat where I would say.
Thank you, your homes.
Use the public of citizens are not even here.
I'm sorry.
Here. Okay.
Should be two keys.
Any we can draw.
So I've really haven't.
Any of the exhibits impressive moment?
How did I be able to take a picture of it?
Oh, I liked the portraits that the
Oh,
students
yeah.
drawing did.
I did. and
Those
then
were-
I-
Who drew it when they drew each other?
So
the one day.
I didn't check.
They're very, very distinct.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, it is 7 o'clock, so I'm gonna go ahead and call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'll just throw them coming.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening. All right, we are gonna approve our agenda first, but I would just ask that we add even though our superintendent of schools couldn't join us this evening for the meeting, he did send some updates to share. So I would add a new item A under communications and updates. We'll just add superintendent's report and make the next two items B and C. And I think that's the only edit that I need this evening. So is someone willing to make the motion to approve the agenda as amended? Thank you, Kim. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Aaron. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, approval of consent agenda, which tonight includes the approval of our March 31st public forum minutes, approval of the April 6th public forum minutes, approval of the April 7th regular minutes, approval of the April 15th special meeting minutes, approval of a Planet Aid donation to Brownstone in the amount of $43.50, and approval of a Shutterfly donation to Valley View in the amount of $125.66. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? I'll make a motion. Made by Annie. Is there a second? Seconded by Sarah. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, audience of citizens. Do we have anybody who would like to address the board at this point in time? Anybody online?
You're the only one on this.
Okay, there'll be a second opportunity for public comment towards the end of our agenda. We do not have a Portland Public Schools spotlight tonight, so we'll move on to our student representative report.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
April, very light on meetings as usual, but over the break, as you well know, the music department traveled to Virginia Beach. Great time was had by all. The students performed exceptionally well, notably scoring superior for both band and chorus, which is the highest adjudication grade an ensemble can receive.
And first place in both their categories.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
We'd be happy to answer any questions regarding. In sports news, our spring athletic programs are off to a great start. The high school has hosted 2 large track meets, one today. This season, an exciting event made possible by the reconditioning of our track. Be on the lookout for senior nights in the coming weeks. Spring is always an exciting time here at the high school, with May kicking off with some AP testing. Testing began today with AP Chemistry and AP Government and Politics. Good luck to all of our AP students. As part of the DECA Club, Rowan Coots traveled to the International Career Development Conference in Georgia to compete. Congratulations to both her and Miss Terry. And lastly, for my end at least, the band extravaganza was a huge success, as was the chorus.
Yes.
I can also speak to that. I went to bands. It was amazing. And chorus, I also think was great. I love being able to sing with the kids who come up. It's always a great experience for a community, and I look forward to it every year. A few weeks ago, Student Senate held our final pep rally of the year. The junior class won the Spirit Trophy, which is awarded to the class that earns the most points throughout the year by participating in events such as Spirit Days, pep rally competitions, and the annual food drive, which was an extreme honor. We were very happy that we were able to get it. It was definitely a close run with the singing.
We're pretty close. It's 200 points.
Additionally, next year's PHS mascot, the Highlander, was announced. Jerry Hall handed off the kilt to rising senior Nick Johnson. And 2 weeks ago, sophomores attended the Career Expo, where over 100 professionals were able to discuss career opportunities and pathways with the class of 2028. And last week, the art department hosted a very successful art show showcasing a wide range of creative and impressive student work, and Liam can speak more on that. And additionally, the sophomore class held its annual auction. Thanks to the hard work of the class advisors and students, along with the generosity of the Portland community, the class raised a record-breaking amount of money. I believe it was around $12,000 of Dakota Aurelia, I want to say. 14. I said
Wow.
right.
That's impressive.
Mhm. And recently, as part of the Choice Matters program, Connecticut native and Paralympian Steve EMT spoke with upperclassmen about the importance of making good choices, perseverance, and resilience. His presentation was met with a standing ovation from the student body.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's all we have, so we'll open it up to any questions.
I'm wondering about the Middletown Rotary today. Is there something?
Oh,
today?
yes, there was. I was gonna touch on it in my comment, but today I was recognized as the student of the month by the Rotary Club, which is a huge honor because we only get one nomination for our school.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. That's so
Thank you.
exciting, Liam. There was an event, like a celebratory event today.
Yeah,
this
they-
weekend.
Yep, they held it at Wadsworth Manor, and I had Mr. Bernard there, my parents, and I talked to Mr. Pelton, and he was able to make it.
I'm so glad.
Nice.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There was a prom in there too.
Oh, we did have our
Yeah.
junior senior prom.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Even though the weather was a little bit of a washout, it was a little chilly and rainy. The venue was beautiful, and we're very happy that we were able to experience that with the money that we raised in the junior class. And it was overall a fantastic thing. So.
Good catch.
She might know a thing or two about that.
Learn how to make pocket squares.
Any other questions for our student representatives?
I was curious where the funds raised go towards, and the 14,000, maybe that was to the prom?
No, it goes to the sophomore class, so next year it'll go towards that prom, it'll go towards their senior trip. As you remember back to November, you heard about how my class was able to go to Philadelphia. The funds raised from these types of events contribute to that and making it affordable for all students.
Well done. Yeah, seriously, good effort.
Yeah.
I would love to hear a little bit more about what it's like the adjudication process when you went on their trip to Virginia Beach. I'm curious, like what kind of feedback they give you, what's the process like when you're playing for an adjudicator versus like an
Well-
audience that you might perform for normally.
It's a bit nerve-wracking because, well, for the band at least, we had, I forget his name, but he's the colonel in charge of the entirety of the Army band. We had him
Wow.
adjudicating us, and we had two doctors in various instruments. So it's a little different knowing that you have that caliber of person watching and listening and giving you feedback.
Mhm.
But it's really constructive, especially when you do well, which this is a huge achievement, especially from where the band was 2 years ago.
I will say it's a little bit different of a performance because you guys performed in a small auditorium to just the choir kids from PHS.
Mm.
And the choir kids performed in gymnasium to just the band kids, which is a little weird when you don't have your parents in the audience or like
Yeah.
people that you normally see that are there to support you. But I think we do such a good job of uplifting each other. Like we get amazing, like so much volume of applause that you don't think would be able to come from such like a small group. But the support that we get from each other is incredible. And again, we had for adjudicators, the choir had professor. I know one of our adjudicators was a music professor at Shenandoah, and I think
But the other was a tenured middle school teacher. So I think 20 something years.
mhm.
Hmm.
And it's also odd because the way they do it is they speak while we're performing.
Mhm.
They speak into a little microphone and you just have to watch them like talk while you're performing. So it's a little odd, but being able to hear the feedback, they're always incredibly supportive and so kind and really constructive as well. So it's always a great experience.
Yeah, and it's always a fun day too, because after the morning when you're adjudicated, or sometimes the evening beforehand, usually they hold the awards where they actually hand out the rankings.
Hmm.
In our case, Busch Gardens. In other cases, like the middle school, they usually do their adjudication and then go to Six Flags
Mhm.
and get their awards there. Or 2 years ago, I want to say, we received our adjudication, and then that was our Disney trip. So it was, can't remember which park, but it was one of them. Hollywood Studios. Yeah.
Well, that's really neat. Thanks for sharing more about
But
it.
it's always a very unique and very exposing experience.
We're lucky to be able to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Any other questions for our student representatives? All right, thank you both. And I know that you have to scoot out, Anna. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Liam, are you sticking around or are you heading?
Yeah, I'll stick around.
Okay, great. We're happy to have you. All right, we'll move on to communications and updates. And as I mentioned, Dr. Britton is celebrating his graduating senior tonight with Veteran Awards Night. So we were happy to have him do his family, be with his family, and he did send some updates for me to share with you all. The first was some resignations that are in our folder. We've received resignations from Andrew Velazquez, who's a paraprofessional, Erin Macy, a special education teacher, Amy Maldonado, a special education teacher, Melanie Gold, Spanish teacher, and Sarah Green, an English teacher. And Dr. Britton says we thank them all for their service and reminds the board that he will be conducting exit interviews with everyone who's sent in resignations, and that the results will be shared with the Board of Ed Personnel Committee, which is reminding me that we probably do need to schedule a personnel committee at some point soon. And I guess I will just say I don't have more details than that. So if there are questions, maybe we can address those to Dr. Britton. Enrollment report is available in the folder, pretty stable. There are two legislative updates, two significant issues that have emerged from the recent legislative session. The first is a piece of really good news, which I'm sure you've all heard, that an additional $527,000 in supplemental education funding has been allocated to Portland, and which is incredible news. We're still waiting on more information. I think we're anticipating that more information will come from the state in the next few days, hopefully. But as you all know, as we've all been kind of tracking this effort to increase ECS funding, particularly this year, as we've had some real challenging budget elements, including our incredibly high insurance increase and some transportation increases as well. So excited to kind of see how that will play out And I'm sure Charles will share updates as he gets them from the state.
Total again, sorry, I saw it back here.
527,000. The second legislative update is that there's new homeschool legislation requiring parents to provide annual proof of academic programming and prohibiting families under DCF investigation from withdrawing their children in order to homeschool. At this time, it's unclear what responsibilities for oversight will fall to local school districts. But again, that's one that we'll be tracking closely to see how that, what more information comes to us. There was a town meeting last Monday regarding the school referendum, and about 30 people attended. There was some public comment. It all went pretty smoothly. And then there was a town meeting last night in the lead up to the budget referendum next Monday that Charles attended, and I believe it was uneventful. Short and sweet. 5 minutes. John Dillon says it was 5 minutes. Charles wrote, it went well. And then upcoming dates, we're moving quickly toward the May 11th bonding resolution and budget vote. And he offers a reminder to please encourage everyone to get out and vote. Regardless of the outcome, our May 19th Board of Ed meeting will be very much focused on a discussion on next steps. So that was Dr. Britton's update. And if there are questions, I would say shoot him an email. All right, so we've got Stephanie up next with an update as well.
So the authorized spending report is through April 30th. No surprises other than the higher than normal gas and diesel prices right now. At least it's catching us towards the end of the year. I can't say what next year's gonna look like. But other than that, I mean, we're looking good. We've been in a soft freeze, which has been helpful. We had a small surplus. We have a small surplus going into the last 2 months. A few things in the works with some changes where we may have a little bit more. So that's why when we get into the new business with the transfers, that's why those are out there, just in case we end up having anything at the end. But as of right now, everything's in a line. In this next payroll, we're going to be paying out our coaching stipends, our extracurricular stipends. So those will, get reduced because there is some that are still in the higher percentages, and those are the ones that usually get paid out at the end of the year. Yeah, and that's really it. If anybody has any questions on any of the line items, anything going on at the end of the year, here.
I think the only one I have is tuition to private sources. It seems like we overspent what we budgeted.
So that's where excess costs, when we get the reimbursement
Got it,
in, it
thanks.
goes into a different account and then we move the money.
Thanks.
Which right now we're getting about $495 to offset that. It's never the full amount to cover it, which is always the fight that everybody has. But we're, as of right now, still getting the 72% that we were anticipating.
And then with the 527,000 in supplemental ed funds, was that at all accounted for in the budget?
So that's not for this year. That would be for next year. And as of right now, it was not because it literally just came out 2 days ago.
Saturday.
Yep.
Do they have a time frame on telling us more, or we just wait?
I think in the next couple of days, there's going to be information that comes out.
Yeah, it literally passed the House and Senate.
Yeah, no, I know,
Saturday
yeah.
night, and I'm not even.
I don't think it gets signed until the end of the week.
So it's fair to say if we're asked,
Yeah,
more
we're waiting on
coming.
information from the Department of
Making sure I'm
Education
on the
for
same
sure. And CCM and CAVE and CAPS and all the advocacy organizations will be pushing out information. The School and State Finance has already put out some limited information, but the reason why I'm saying we need to kind of be cautious and wait and see is that some of what I'm seeing, like from School and State Finance, they're talking about that money differently.
I
than
know.
the state has been talking about it. Like School and State Finance is talking about it as an ECS adjustment to the foundation,
Oh,
whereas what we were sort of hearing from the state made it sound more like this was one-time funding. So
Yeah.
I think we're pausing, we're waiting for clarification.
and it's
About
going
that.
to multiple places, obviously not just one.
Oh,
Yeah,
every town.
However, people in our town are very aware of the school project and they are already talking about
That's,
the change that could impact the school project and wanting information before they vote. So as soon as we Yeah,
That-
anything that will be
Terrible
helpful.
timing.
Yeah, I know.
Terrible
It
timing.
is terrible timing for us, but as soon as we get anything, we may want to consider putting out a statement.
Yeah, I think that Dr. Britton and First Selectman Pelton are both very aware of that and are wanting to be clear and transparent with information, but
Yeah.
also are waiting to make sure we have all the answers about what that money actually
Yeah,
looks like.
exactly.
Is it worth
Um,
it to make that some sort of statement and just say, we know this is here and we're waiting for more
I
information?
think Mike does intend to.
He does, okay.
Make a statement that we're.
Okay.
If we don't have information by then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions for Stephanie about any of the budget? About any of the authorized spending report items? Line items? No. All right, I don't think so, so we can move on. All right, we do have a report in our folder, from Chuck, an update on, teaching and learning in the district. Lots of great updates in there. Chuck is not able to be here tonight to answer questions, so I would say if you had the chance to read through it, go ahead and if you have questions, make note of them, and Chuck, I'm sure will be at our next meeting, so we can direct questions to him. But certainly lots of exciting updates. So we're gonna move on to new business. First item of new business is approval of an extended leave of absence request for Meredith Gelino, who is expecting a baby very soon. So I would be looking for a motion to approve her extended leave of absence request.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Annie. Is that a second?
Second.
Seconded by Aaron. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and congratulations to Meredith. Next item is fourth quarter transfers. So Stephanie, why don't you talk us through?
Yep, so for the newer people, the fourth quarter transfers are first we do in May. It's when we get to a point in the budget where we hope that we have money left over. So there's two funds that we're authorized right now to transfer into. One's called Fund 11, which is our maintenance fund, which is, everybody says, there's never enough funding in the budget to maintain the schools. So we have Fund 11 for the larger expenses that can't be covered by the LEA. And it's a gradual, there's some years where we can't transfer anything. So it's not like it's a giant pot of money that we have sitting there, but we make small increments each year that we add, but we do pull a lot from it when we have to make big ticket item purchases that can't be covered in the LEA. So that's one of the funds that we can transfer into. And the other one is Fund 05, which is the lunch fund. And the lunch fund during COVID was great. We got a lot of federal money in. We were doing very well in it where I didn't have to do the transfer in. But now that most of the money's gone away, and the enrollment is down in lunch. So if anybody has any students we're having an advisory committee, meeting with students and parents with how do we boost enrollment in our lunch program. So basically the transfer in there is to cover any bad debt, because as you know, we have to provide meals to all students, even if they don't have money on their account. They get one meal a day. And so there are people that have just back up the bill. So we have to pay the bad debt, and then also depending on the state of our food service program, with the end of year. So there, with the food service management company, there's a guarantee that we're supposed to get from them to match a certain amount of money and enrollment. And if they don't meet that, then, they have to pay up to a certain management fee. But if we don't meet on our end, the number of students that we we do a 5-year contract. We put this bid out 5 years ago. So our enrollment at the time was XYZ, but as in every school district, enrollment declines. So our guarantee is to have this many students because this many students can provide this much money. But then if we get down to a certain point, then we're not at our guarantee. So it's a whole thing. So that money basically covers the offset of what the deficit in the program, and then also to cover the bad debt. Hopefully $35,000 is enough this year. And that's even, like I said, depending on even if we have any money at the end of the year. And we do the motion from you guys in case of, because I don't want to not do it. And then we're like, oh, we've got $70,000 left at the end of the year. What am I going to do with it? I mean, obviously go back to the town if we had to, but this what these mechanisms are for, to help because we do have to pay the bad debt and we do have to pay the deficit within the program. But I did hear from the food service management company that the state did approve free breakfast for next year and free reduced next year. So hopefully that'll be good for us and hopefully that will help a lot of families.
Yeah.
So we kind of just gotta work with what we have right now. Like I said, we do up to a certain amount so that we have that limitation to where we can do. And again, we may not even be able to do one. But we like to just have it there in case we do.
Do you know what the balance is on Fund 11 and Fund 5 currently?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. No,
Fund
no worries.
11. I don't know. I'll tell you at the next meeting. I
Okay.
probably should have brought that with me.
Oh, that's all
I
right.
usually do it in my report, in my
Yep.
quarterly report. With what we've done with the money and then what's left.
Yeah.
So I'll get that for next time.
That's good. And when you're talking about the school lunch fund, is there a concern that that balance has gotten low enough that it's gonna be a problem?
So we
covering
try to
bad
leave,
debt this year? Are you worried about that?
so our transfer can cover, it's great to transfer in because then it keeps your general fund for the food service program higher. But if we have bad debt, that also can help offset it. So there's either two ways that we either take that 35,000 and have to pay the bad debt, or we can put it in and increase our general fund. Right now, I believe our bad debt is at $6,800.
That's not bad.
From the last time that Anita, the food service, I guess, head at the high school, since she sent me the last report. It did increase a little bit. It was only around 5,000 last month, so I gotta email her and see what could have happened in the last month. But you know, the schools are working on reaching out to families. It's people still think it's free sometimes and they don't realize that their students have a balance. We also encourage people to fill out the free and reduced. You may not think you would, qualify for it. Everybody should fill it out. Doesn't mean anything. But if you can get a better price or, a reduced price, we encourage anybody and everybody that eats lunch or even any parent to just do it. So it's just, we need to boost our enrollment that we have. And they're trying new things, with different options. I think they were doing a salad bar at the high school, they're doing carts for breakfast because I know Brownstone is hard because the cafeteria is all in the basement. So for people to get breakfast, so they're trying to think of outside the box things to boost it. But we're just getting close to the end of the year, so.
How's enrollment measured?
How many people go down and purchase? So we have where they get counted as free, they get counted as reduced, or they're counted as paid. So it's just the number of people that actually walk in and they type their number in.
And are we required to meet a certain level on monthly average or annually?
No, it's just really what your fund balance. So it's basically what you're spending on food and the staffing. I mean, again, we have 5 buildings, so we have to pay for 2 food workers at every building. There's a head in the program. There's a dietitian, there's salary and benefits of all the people, on top of the food purchases, all of the, the paper products, things, we're increasing in pricing.
I think I'm just wondering, it sounds like contractually we have an enrollment requirement, and
Yes.
how is that?
So that was
measured?
when we put in the RFP 5 years ago, so the state gives you a boilerplate thing that you have to fill out. So at the time when we did it 5 years ago, our enrollment was 1242. We're down to under 1,200 now. So but they don't do it as, okay, you're down 100 or however many students. They look at it a percentage. I just met with them last week and they gave me a whole calculation. So I was worried that we were going to have to pay, because right now I think our deficit is about $36,000 for the year. And technically their management fee and other fee that we pay them ends up being about 47,000. So we have up to $47,000 that they're supposed to get back to us to meet that guarantee, because they're guaranteed that you have either a zero, a break even, or a surplus. Right now, we're in a $35,000 deficit. But because, and that's just it for the year, not in the general fund. We have a fund balance, but we don't want it to get low, too low.
Right.
So for that enrollment piece, they do a calculation of, okay, by month, what it is, they divide it out. And I think this year, he said, we're gonna end because they take into consideration all the snow days and how we lost money from the snow days. All the we still have to give meals on half days, early releases, late openings. But the snow days is what killed us. But I said, well, those get added on at the end of the month. But they said, the seniors are done a week before everybody, with.
I've got a quick question.
Yeah.
You said the number was set 5 years ago, right?
Yep.
5 years ago wasn't lunch free because of the program? Was
Yeah,
that
was it
artificially
20?
raised?
I think we did the bid right before COVID. But the enrollment meeting in the school district.
Right.
So we had 1,242 students at the time and we're,
45 fewer students.
and we're down to 1199. So they kind of base it off of that. But like I said, they do an average times a daily rate or monthly rate, it's a whole calculation, but of the 35 right now, they take out the snow days, they take out some other factors, and I think as of what they told me last is that they're gonna have to give us back, I think 12,000 of that. So we're gonna have to eat the other, whatever it ends up being at the end of the year. Like they're calculating up at the end of the year, it'll be probably 35. But if we can boost enrollment, we were doing the advisory committee. We love to hear what the students have to say. It doesn't necessarily mean we can always do what they say. And that's why the Sodexo runs it, because they basically say, the state says you have to do this. You have to have 3 grains and a milk and a cheese and we can't give you cookies, unfortunately. And there's meal components and they do hit, may not seem like they do, but they hit every single meal component that's required. And for every free meal, we got a certain amount from the state. From every reduced meal, we get a certain amount from the state. And then for every paid meal, we get a certain amount from the state. So for all the people that don't pay, it hurts us.
But we
in both
can't, we
ways.
can't run some sort of report and target those folks because
Can't.
free and reduced is confidential and somebody would think, okay.
So we can't.
Just doing a blanket push.
Back in the day, you can give the cheese sandwich and
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
this is what you get for a meal, but
Well, I was
do that
trying to think
tomorrow.
like targeted, these fill this free and reduced lunch format. We can't do that.
well, there's a certain point in our policy that if you hit 30 days of not paying for
Uh-huh.
your meals, then you get referred to the homeless liaison. And then they reach out to you
Okay.
and say, check in, say, oh, is everything okay? Is there a reason? But, you pick up a phone, you call ID, not many people pick up the phone for
Yeah.
you. So you don't want to sound like a collections agency
Right.
when you continuously call people, but we also have to try and collect as much as we can.
I
I know
if you
some,
could give them the application, because
30
they could
days.
qualify.
The bills.
Yeah.
Seem like a lot all at once to
Yeah.
a family.
I know.
so, and we try to, we send home the packets in the beginning of the school year as we get
Mhm.
closer to, we send them home with the students. We email them, but can't force anybody to fill them out.
I mentioned this the last time we had this conversation, and I'm only bringing it up again because I do remember when my kids were much younger. At the beginning of the year, when all the paperwork came home, there was always an application
Yeah.
to apply for free and reduced lunch if you were income eligible, and it came home to everybody. I haven't seen one of those in years. It doesn't come home with the standard paperwork anymore. And part of that I wonder is if it's because everything's moved online through Parent Square and whatnot, that it's not coming, the physical paper is not coming out of a backpack.
Is
And I
that
wonder if there's a
all
change.
schools? Do we know?
I
thought they were.
I don't see it in
I
high
haven't
school,
seen one
middle
in
school.
years. I don't know if
Not
anybody else
familiar.
is seeing them, but I would say that seeing a physical paper is a reminder in a way that the opening files on your phone is not the same.
Yep.
So I don't know if.
I'll look
we
into
should
that and
look
make
at our
sure.
Overall enrollment in, making sure that, if we're hitting a certain percentage of who is eligible but not
Mhm.
accessing it. If that's something we might want to just keep in mind for.
I'll check with the principals and see, and if they're not doing it, maybe have them do it, maybe they're trying to just save money on paper.
Sure, I get
Um,
that, but that could be something for September for us or August, I mean,
Yep.
just to put on. Just, make sure that we remember that. I think that physical reminder is important for some people. It's important for me.
Yes.
And I do
Well, I
know
haven't
that they
seen it in
did
a couple
change
of
the threshold also to determine if you're free and reduced, like because they know mean, everything's so expensive these days, so I know they did change the threshold. They changed the threshold for, it's called CEP, so they're like the towns of like New Britain, Middletown, you know, that everybody's free. If you fall within that CEP level, you're free. So I said to Sexo, I said, does it hurt to run numbers and see? Cause I think like we qualify for one school close with another school. So that's meaning, you know, depending on your free and reduced population,
Right.
you may be able to get free
Mhm.
meals for everybody. So that's something that I asked them to run the numbers. There's a calculation through the state
Yeah.
and they come back and say whether it's worth it or not.
Okay.
Cause I don't know if you lose the state funding piece for the reimbursement other than, so that's what I have to figure out.
Okay.
But I'm trying everything I can to help that program.
That's good to
Um,
just be persistent and see if there's more we can be doing to support families and accessing food, you know, it's.
And the even crazier thing is, so during COVID, we got all that money, but it's a requirement of the state that you can't carry more than 3 months of your operating expenses.
Right.
So I spent the first year of COVID, $150,000, which would have been great to keep in the bank
Right.
for the years after COVID.
But we had. to
And then
spend
the
it.
the year after that, I had to spend $97,000.
Yeah.
And then last year, even though the current year was in a deficit because our general fund was too high, I had to spend like $37,000.
Right.
It's great because we got all new serving lines for the schools. We fixed the freezer at the high school, the rooftop unit with the money. So, I mean, it
went to
worked
good
for us,
use. Yeah,
but we could have used some of it now.
right.
Mhm.
That's the only tough part.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, thanks for the thorough explanation. Are there other questions about what Stephanie's talking about approving? Now, it would be two different motions. The first would be to authorize up to that $100,000 to be transferred into Fund 11, the maintenance fund. And the second motion would be to transfer up to that $35,000 for the school lunch fund. Are there questions about either of those or why we're doing that now? Nope. And if not, would someone like to make the first motion?
I'll move to recommend to the Portland Board of Education the transfer of up to but no more than $100,000 to the Board of Education Maintenance Fund account Fund 11 from available fiscal year 2025 to 2026 Board of Education appropriations.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Aaron. Any further discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Motion passes. All right. While you're at it.
I
you want-
move to recommend to the Portland Board of Education the transfer of up to but no more than $35,000 to the School Lunch Fund Fund 5 from designated fiscal year 2025 to 2026 Board of Education appropriations.
Thanks,
Second.
Sarah. Seconded by Aaron. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
and when I do the final, the fourth quarter, report, I'll let you guys know if we ended up transfer. Yeah.
Yeah, and if we're able to transfer
Yep.
any funds. Yep. All right. Thank you so much for that, Stephanie.
Sorry, I like to talk. I don't get asked a lot of questions.
No,
so.
it's always good to have a reminder, and I know we do this, but it's only about once a year that we
Yeah.
talk about the school
Yeah.
lunch fund, so it is really good to kind of be brought up to speed about it. I appreciate that. The next two items, the first is the ratification of custodian and maintenance employees bargaining unit agreement from 2026 to 2029, and then the next one is the ratification of the paraprofessionals bargaining unit agreement of 2026 to 2029. Both of those will be discussed in executive session. And Dr. Britton will be joining us for that conversation, and then we'll take action on those coming out of executive session. So we're going to move to old business. We have 3 policies. This is a second reading on each of these policies. So if folks don't have a lot of questions and if there are no concerns, I would be looking to take action on each of these policies tonight. The first one is policy 5113.13. It is a new work study employment / work release policy. And as just a quick reminder, this is a new state mandated policy. The language is directly from the CAVE model policy, and it has been vetted by both Chuck Hirschon and by Kate as well, and both of them feel comfortable implementing the policy as it stands. Were there any questions, concerns, thoughts about this policy?
I don't have a question about the wording or anything. I'm curious about how students are made aware of this program. Is, in the course catalog, is there a listing for this? Because it talks about how you can get credits for it. So how do students know this is an option?
That's a great question for Kate, and maybe she can speak to that the next time she's at a meeting. It is not current, it hasn't been past practice.
Yeah.
So yes, how will students be made aware that it's an option?
Yeah.
We can certainly ask Kate to come and speak to that. I'm just gonna keep that. Other questions, thoughts, concerns?
I definitely will support the policy, but
Mhm.
I wish I had noticed this on the first read. Under eligibility requirements, the whole thing that I would wonder about is that the student must be in good standing academically and on track to graduate within 4 years as determined by the school principal or designate. I would imagine the good standing academically is the most important piece, but I just am noting that if we are limiting it to folks on track to graduate within 4 years, that is maybe unintentionally prohibiting students that may participate in our transition academy. And I don't think that was the intention, but just by virtue of how it's written, that is, I think, probably the reality.
I think because the Transition Academy is administered separately, I don't know that that program is entirely designed around students participating in work, like real lived work experience in the community and in local businesses. I don't think that this prohibits
students
that. I
not
think
in
this
that
is,
program.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is specific to students who are not participating. I mean, I think, I believe those are separate.
I'm just, yeah, well, maybe. I'm just saying the way it's written on the surface
Hmm.
or on the face of it would.
Well, it says on here enrolled in the district's high school is the transition program considered.
They are still
They're
enrolled
enrolled
in
in
high
the
school. So I don't think that we shouldn't pass it, but I think maybe just an encouragement to the policy committee as we're undertaking these things to just be mindful of how this kind of I think ability bias can find its way into policies in ways that we wouldn't even have intended.
All right, I will certainly raise that with the policy committee. Absolutely, Sarah.
Thank you.
But do we need to ask a clarifying question about if this applies to that group?
This policy absolutely will not prohibit the Transition
transition.
Academy from
Okay.
continuing with the programming that they are.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
Doing.
not concerned.
Yeah.
Oh,
I do hear your concern about the language.
okay.
I'm gonna make note of that also. Okay. Other questions? Thoughts, concerns? All right, is there a motion to move this policy forward? Are we ready for that? And I would just ask that the model, sorry, the language that we have given, since it's an approval of revisions, this is not revisions, this is a new policy. So I'd be looking for a motion to approve this policy as a new policy.
Can you just bring up bullet 2, which I know when Chuck Hirshon talks about the chronically absent population, how
Mhm.
quickly that can happen, especially in September, you have the flu for a week. So I'm just thinking, is that going to prohibit a student who gets the flu in September, and now we're calling them chronically absent, and now they can't participate in work study and they're depending on it? So
No, no, it's okay to raise the question.
you know, I understand there's chronically absent and there's chronically absent.
Yeah.
There's, like, the way the state defines it really does
And there's a-
frustrate me
Yeah.
a lot. So,
Everybody wants to join virtually, by the way.
Oh, great, thank you. Thank you.
so.
I think we should pause and let Chuck speak to this the next time. My gut answer to that is that a child who has missed that much school. I mean, I know that percentage shifts as you move, right? Percentage stays the same. But the number of days shifts based on how far into the school year you are. But I think the idea with that is that if there's a student who has missed enough school to be considered chronically absent, that they probably need to be in the classroom in order to pass their classes. I think we should probably have Chuck speak to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just add something like at the discretion of the principal,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that anyone who's chronically absent needs to be approved by the principal. Because you're right, I mean, like a fabulous student could have the flu for 5 days. And the second half of the year want to do work study.
Yeah. All right, so let's ask Chuck to speak to this at our next meeting and hold off on approving it tonight.
Yeah.
And we'll ask him to speak to both those things, both about the transition program and to the chronically absent language. Does that sound?
And the promotion of it, or is that a separate thing, what Kim brought up before?
Yeah, about
Yes.
how students will be made aware of that.
Yeah,
I think
It's maybe not. so
Chuck
much,
or
but-
Kate could
Yeah.
speak to that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, we'll get those questions answered. All right, so we're gonna hold
Right,
off
move
on
to table to Chuck.
We're gonna save that for next time. All right, the next one is policy 5112. It's our kindergarten enrollment and early entry waiver. And as we talked about last time, this is a minor modification to our existing policy in response to last minute change from the state that announced that this was the last year that a waiver was available to students or to families with young kids whose birthdays fall after the September 1st cutoff for beginning kindergarten. So we were clarifying in our existing policy that this waiver will remain in place through this current school year, beginning 2027-28. It will no longer be an option. Questions about this policy?
No, we discussed it once, but I can't remember. Are we still accepting 3-year-olds into the pre-K program or are we gonna adjust?
As far as I'm aware, we
Keeping
have not
everything the same.
made changes to the entry to our pre-K program.
Okay.
Are you asking for peer models
Yes.
or on a needs basis?
Yeah, because we're taking the peer models at 3 and then they'll be in that program potentially for 3 years.
Yeah.
But as of right now, we're keeping.
It'll
same.
remain the same for the next year. And then I think it may be that the pre-K program has to do some evaluating about how many students are interested in the program and anticipating
Right.
with birthdays, cutoffs, how
Yeah,
long students might be eligible for the program, peers, I mean, not,
correct. Yeah.
yeah. But I think for this coming year, everything stays the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Other questions? All right, you ready to move forward with this policy?
I move to recommend Portland Board of Education the approval of revisions to policy 5112, kindergarten enrollment and early entry waiver.
Thank you, Erin, seconded by Kim. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Excellent. And the last policy is 9230. This is orientation of board members. And remember from our conversation last month that this is modifications to an existing policy in order to reflect the new legislation that mandates Board of Education members to receive a minimal amount of orientation and training, professional development within their first year on the board. So we took the opportunity to add that language in from the CAPE policy and kind of update the policy language in general. Are we ready to move forward on this, or are there questions? Comments, concerns? Okay. And then let's do the back.
I'll move to recommend to the Portland Board of Education the approval of revisions to policy 9230 orientation and board.
Ken, is there a second? Seconded by Sarah. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion passes. All right. 2 out of 3 is not bad. And we'll revisit 5113.13 at our next on our next agenda in 18th or 19th, whatever day that is. All right, we're gonna move on to committee reports. has curriculum met since our last meeting?
Yes.
We did?
Yes. you, Erin,
We did.
You're right. I don't even remember.
There was lots of
There
presentation.
were new courses for the
Presentation.
middle
Oh,
school.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, for the, oh my
The
gosh, the unified arts,
elective,
the,
yeah.
with a change in the schedule, then what will be offered that sort of last period. Oh my gosh.
They're very creative ideas.
They were great. We approved them all.
I think a lot of it is like based on building need.
Yeah.
I know there was like a yearbook aspect to one
Mhm.
of them.
Hmm.
And I think some of it is gonna be made as the year goes a little bit, and I think the teachers are being given that flexibility. We did talk about like where teachers are finding time for this type of planning, because this is all course planning that we don't have funds for. So they're doing their best at the middle school to offer time whenever they can from end of the year team meetings and department meetings. The teachers seemed very excited about it. Seems like they're being given quite a bit of freedom, which they're enjoying.
And students will have choice in how they access those electives, or?
That part of it, I'm not 100% sure about. I think there will be choice. I just don't know. I think they're gonna have the sixth graders
I got the list.
do it with their current teachers. And then, like, once they're in the building, they'll have choice going forward.
Yeah, they did talk about not impacting band and chorus and then picking choice, but there's a PE elective choice, which will also involve like my wellness goals and planning in my personal life, those skills. An art studio, just for the, students that want more open-ended, free art time. Then there was the facts fundamentals, and that was more what was her name? Oh my gosh. Was ready for the wellness committee. I forgot about this committee. I'm sorry. Curriculum. It was good. And then there was the production studio. And then I can't remember what text art is now.
There is one course that's going to be geared towards AI,
Yeah, that's
I
a text.
believe,
Yes.
with the seventh grade. And we did discuss, like, the communication with parents is gonna be key here, because some parents really aren't ready or comfortable with it. And everyone seems on the same page of that. She has ideas, but hasn't like fully fleshed them all out yet. So I
And
think
then
more
also the
information
balance
coming.
of parents not being ready, but kids already accessing it.
Yep.
Younger, like, the harm reduction piece to it. Yeah, that was the text memo.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. That sounds exciting.
Sorry.
No, that's right. That's great. All right, policy has not met since our last meeting. I think we met the day of our last meeting, so I don't have any policy updates for you, maybe for our next meeting. Personnel, hasn't met recently. We do have the two contracts that we've been kind of a holding pattern on the agenda later tonight, so very excited to get those checked off our list. Buildings and grounds. I haven't met in a while, yeah. Our correct liaison is not well tonight. She is home taking care of herself. And our Board of Selectmen liaison is on vacation. So we hope he's traveling safely. And youth services.
We're supposed to meet a week from today. We haven't been given information about anyone being hired for the position. There is talk about it. There's been applications, so hopefully soon.
Yeah.
We have a new youth services person. I think we are gonna meet because there's the summer kickoff coming up,
That's right.
and like, I think the town loves that. So,
Yeah. Yes. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. We'll look forward to hearing more. Portland Public Schools Climate Coalition.
And we have not met since, and we actually had our last meeting
Okay.
the day of our last meeting. So we won't convene again until next year,
Next year. All right.
next school year.
And Wellness Committee.
So there is going to be a wellness week, May 25th through 29th, which will feature daily announcements and at-home wellness challenges, culminating with a school-wide activity on that Friday and back to food conversations. The committee is I think Chuck Hirschon is gonna try to partner with the food services providers that week to align the cafeteria items or offerings with the themes of that wellness week. I don't know.
Is that just at the secondary schools or at every school?
That's a great question, Laurel. All the schools, I don't know.
Right.
I will follow up. And then now they're reviewing the rollout of the updated wellness policy, trying to figure out more clearer communication when the changes, are made that we have to make that are in line with state and federal, allergen requirements. I think it's going back to can we have snacks in the schools? Can we give out food as prizes? That kind of conversation. So just how can the wellness committee help make that clearer when it's a policy from the state or the federal government?
Yeah.
It isn't an option.
That was a difficult
Um,
rollout.
so how to be clear and consistent. Is that gonna go in the back to school communications along with maybe your food to lunch? It's a whole wellness, what we eat, rollout. So yeah, those are the major things discussed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'll find out if it's all the schools. And I think he was having that conversation this week. So yeah, I don't know if he's already talked to Stepson or not.
Okay. All right, the next item is audience of citizens. Do we have anybody who would like to comment? No? How about online? All right, we'll hear
Hi,
from you
Charles.
later. All right, Board of Ed member comments. Why don't I start over here with Liam tonight?
Well, I've gotten quite a fair bit to say, but
Please, we want to hear it.
yeah, first off, I think we might have a new record here. That's pretty good. I've been here for 3 years.
We're keeping
What,
it moving
45
tonight.
minutes? Yeah. As you may know, this is gonna be my second to last meeting. I wanted to point out the awards night is gonna be on the 21st. I missed that in my initial report.
Oh, thank you for that
Um,
reminder.
Lastly, or I kind of owe the art department a bit of an apology. I haven't really covered them a lot in my reports, but they do some incredible work. And I highly recommend if you have 5 minutes after your executive session, go over to the middle schools, see what they have. AP 2D art. You guys signed off on that last year, I believe.
Yeah, this year, it
Um,
was for this year.
For this year, yes. Part of their AP, I guess project, not test, is they have to develop a portfolio. A lot of their pieces are on display and they've got a lot of talent in that class. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Evie Hare for her ceramics. I think that is a standout job. And Anna wanted to recommend you guys take a look at the portraits. She thought those were pretty good. I saw the legislation for the money coming in. That is incredible from the governor. I saw that 2 days ago. Talked about it with Mr. Pelton today. He's pretty excited. I can tell you guys are.
Yes.
Obviously, Meg Scotta, please get well. We need you here. And Dave, safe travels. You're a very valued member of this board. Record, I said that. Free breakfast next year. That's pretty good. That should be stated. This week, IDS, you guys signed off on that. So I figured you guys might want to hear an update on that. I remember hearing from a friend, they're starting to do a project with experiments and imposing treatments. So I figured that's pretty interesting, worth a mention. Mystery and Mayhem, I've also heard great things about that. That's new this year.
Yeah.
And I think the decision to split English 12 into half year and bring in an elective is a great way to bring in some choice.
Have you taken advantage of that this year? Which elective did you?
Public speaking.
Public speaking. Well, yeah.
TechSmart, that is a great idea. That is invaluable. That is going to continue to be invaluable as things continue. I figured you might also be interested. College decision day was May 1st. Decision has been made.
Where are you going?
Catholic University of America, right in DC. I'll be studying politics.
Congratulations, Liam.
Wait.
That's really
Yeah.
exciting.
As you can gather from my reports, I'm a decent patron of the arts. So Kennedy Center right there. Incredible opportunity. But on that note,
Yeah.
this weekend we had the vocal cords in. They did a phenomenal job. If you have the opportunity to go to one of their shows, they have a guy named Don who does the lighting. just phenomenal job. And the lights, incredible. Obviously, the singers, fantastic job. And it's conducted by our very own Mr. Tucker.
Yeah, that's a good
I
plug.
think that's a bit of everything I wanted to touch on. Yeah, I'll say that's it.
Thank you, Liam.
I don't know how I follow up after all that. No, I mean, I think it was a great record meeting tonight. And I am very excited to hear from Chuck about his update. I thought that the SAT results looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
we'll see what next meeting is.
Yeah. Agreed. A lot of Chuck.
Well, congratulations, Liam,
Mhm.
on everything.
Yeah.
The award today and college decision, all of that. And we will definitely miss you.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. My only other comments, great to hear about the money. And then resignations. I know that we've had years where it kind of ebb and flows. I know that the personnel committee will be hearing about the exit interviews. I just hope that there's enough information gleaned from those exit interviews to have an understanding of why folks are going, especially in the special ed department, which I know historically is tough.
Yes, yeah.
So I do have concerns about.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm looking forward to our next meeting with the results moving forward.
Agreed. Thanks, Kim.
Vote.
Yeah.
That's my update.
Great.
And it was nice to hear the wellness committee doing something in the month of May because it's mental health awareness month.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so just an honor. Pay attention to that and yourself and those you love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Liam, thank you so much for hyping up the art show. You were absolutely right that it's like a really cool and powerful experience to see art from our youngest kindergarten students all the way up through our AP art students. And what you said about the AP art class and their portfolios that are on display is so spot on. I just was looking at those and feeling so grateful that we were able as a board to support the increase of the art position to full-time so that our students can access that course and be able to pursue their artistic interests that way. It's really cool to see just how thoughtful and engaged students were in that art making process. Very cool. And the band and chorus extravaganzas are always phenomenal for the exact same reason, to be able to see on display from our youngest musicians all the way up through our most accomplished musicians all together. It's a really very special experience that we are able to create in this small district to be able to see all that. So beautiful events. I also wanted to highlight one other kind of amazing thing that we do that just happened, the 8th grade PIP fair last
Oh,
week.
yeah, that was interesting.
Or 2 weeks ago. Time's a little bit blurred for me.
Within
but
the last 2 weeks.
it was within the last 2 weeks. The middle school PIP fair happened, and this every year is always one of my very, very favorite things to attend. What Chuck Hirschon brought that to our district, and Mike Searson has carried that forward this year. And the quality of the projects, the quality of kids, the way they were problem solving and thinking about things that were really interesting to them and diving into these sort of explorations and being able to share that not only with other students, with 7th graders, with teachers, with community members. It's really cool. So I did talk to Chuck about whether there's, and to Mike Searson about if there's a way to share that with other interested folks. And Chuck did put together a little proposal for a workshop for the Cave Caps Convention. We haven't heard back yet, but I'm hopeful that we'll have the opportunity for Mike and Chuck to share some of what we're doing. It's a very, very cool opportunity that our middle schoolers have, and just really beautifully done and beautifully supported by our middle school teachers. So worth highlighting. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, so I wanted to make sure to extend gratitude to our teachers, to our paraeducators, to all of our staff members in this district who just go above and beyond every day for our students. They are the heart and soul of the Portland Public Schools, and we are so lucky. And please vote Monday, May 11th on both the budget and the school referendum. Polls are open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the middle school. And I believe that on that note, that we are ready to enter executive session. I would be looking for a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of the custodian and maintenance bargaining unit agreement and the paraprofessional bargaining unit agreement, and to invite Dr. Britton to join us virtually.
I make that motion.
Thank you, Kim.
Mhm.
And second. Seconded by Aaron. And we will enter executive session at 8:03 PM.